and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain. I'm 82 years old now, and there are things that happen to me that I still can't quite put into words, even after all these years of trying. Back in 1997, I was 53 and lying in a hospital bed, dying from complications nobody saw coming. What started as pneumonia turned into something the doctors called multi-organ failure. My kidneys stopped working. Then my liver started shutting down. And somewhere in that fog of machines and monitors, my body became septic. They put me in a medically induced coma to give my organs a chance to recover. But instead of getting better, I got worse. I was in that coma for nearly 8 weeks. My wife, Margaret, sat beside me every day, holding my hand, talking to me about our grandchildren, about the garden she was planting, about ordinary things she hoped I could somehow still hear. But I wasn't there anymore. Not really. The doctors told her my brain had stopped responding. They ran tests and saw nothing. No electrical activity. No signals coming back. They used the word irreversible. They told Margaret I was brain dead and had been for 3 days. They said keeping me on life support was only prolonging what had already happened. Margaret had to make the decision to let me go. They said once they removed the ventilation, my body would shut down within an hour, maybe 2. Everyone said their goodbyes. My daughter kissed my forehead. My son held my hand and cried. Margaret whispered something I'll never know. Then they left the room because they couldn't watch me die. But I didn't die, not in the way they expected. What happened instead is something I've spent 29 years trying to understand, and even longer trying to explain. I don't remember the moment they turned off the machines. I don't remember the room or the hospital or even being William. What I remember is opening my eyes and standing on something that felt like water, but wasn't water. It was alive. It moved with color. Every color I'd ever seen, and colors I'd never seen before. Colors I don't have names for even now. The surface I stood on shimmered and pulsed with light, and I could feel it humming beneath me, like it was breathing. Above me there was mist, thick and soft, drifting in shades of gold and violet, and something close to silver, but warmer. There were threads of light woven through the air, delicate as spider silk, but glowing like they were made of pure energy. I looked up and saw a figure standing a few feet away. At first, I thought it was my father. He died when I was 12, and for just a second, I felt the same way I did when I was a boy, and he'd come home from work and pick me up. But when I blinked, I wasn't looking at my father anymore. I was looking at something I can only describe as the source of everything. It was shaped like a person, but it wasn't solid. It was made of light, every kind of light, swirling and shifting like water catching the sun. I can't say if it had a face. I don't think it did. But I felt seen. I felt known in a way I'd never felt before. And the love that came from this being, I don't have words for it. If you took every moment of love you've ever felt in your entire life, every hug from your mother, every laugh with a friend, every quiet morning with someone you care about, and you compressed all of that into a single second and then stretched that second out forever, that's the closest I can come to describing it. And even that doesn't touch it. We knelt down together. I don't know why. I just knew that's what we were supposed to do. And as we knelt, I felt myself start to vibrate. It was like my whole being was tuning itself to match this presence beside me. And as we vibrated together, something started to grow out of the surface we were kneeling on. It was like a crystal, but it moved like liquid, rising up and solidifying into a kind of stool or platform. I watched it form, and I understood that we were creating it together, that our vibration was shaping it into being. Then I blinked, and I was back in my body. I don't know how long I was gone. The doctors said my heart kept beating on its own after they removed life support. A nurse walked past my bed and saw my eyes following her. She called for help, and within minutes I was sitting up and I couldn't stop smiling. They called me the smiling man. I weighed 89 pounds. I couldn't speak because the tube they'd pulled from my throat had damaged my vocal cords. It took me 6 weeks to learn how to walk again. Another month before I could talk in more than a whisper. They documented brain death. They'd told my family there was no chance. And yet here I was, awake and alive and grinning at everyone who came near me. What I brought back from that place isn't something I can hold in my hands. It's not knowledge or information. It's a feeling. It's the certainty that we're not separate from the love that made us. While I was there, I didn't remember Margaret. I didn't remember my children, or my job, or my house, or anything about being William. I didn't even know I had a name. I thought I'd always been in that place and always would be. Time didn't exist, or maybe it existed differently. A moment there could have been 1,000 years here. I don't know. What I do know is that when I came back, everything looked different. Colors seemed richer. Food tasted better. The sound of Margaret's voice when she said my name made me cry. I got sober within days of waking up. I'd been drinking too much for years, using it to cope with stress and disappointment and the weight of just being alive. But after that experience, I didn't want it anymore. I didn't need it. I had something better. I've spent the last 27 years trying to live in a way that honors what I was shown. Some days I do better than others. I still get frustrated. I still worry about money and health and whether my grandkids are going to be okay in this world. But underneath all of that, there's a baseline of peace I never had before. I know that when I die, really die, I'm going home to something so much greater than anything here. And I know that everyone I love who's gone before me is already there, woven back into that love, waiting without waiting, because time doesn't mean anything there. People ask me if I'm afraid of dying now. I'm not. I'm 82 and my body aches in ways it didn't used to, and I forget things more than I'd like. But I'm not afraid. I know what's waiting, and it's not darkness. It's not nothing. It's everything. It's love so complete you don't need anything else. You don't miss anyone because you're connected to everyone. You don't want for anything because you already are everything. The hardest part isn't dying. The hardest part is being here and remembering what's there and trying to explain it to people who haven't seen it. But I keep trying because I think people need to know. Whatever you're carrying, whatever weight you think is too much, whatever mistakes you think make you unworthy, none of that matters the way you think it does. You're loved beyond measure. You always have been. And when your time comes, you'll see it for yourself. Until then, all we can do is love each other the best we can and trust that it's all leading somewhere beautiful. That's all I know. And somehow, it's enough.